Hello, what's up guys? Sir Gian again here. Welcome to another lecture series. In this lecture, we're going to discuss poles, zeros, and system response of first-order systems. This discussion will explore how poles and zeros arise from the transfer function and how they influence time-domain behavior like rise time and settling time, and how we can use them to predict the design system performance. By the end of the discussion, you'll see how even a simple first-order system can reveal deep insights into system dynamics. So without further ado, let's get started. So poles are the values of the Laplace variables that make the denominator of the transfer function equal to 0. So when this happens, the transfer function becomes infinite, and these points tell us how the system naturally responds, whether it oscillates, decays, or grows without a bound. So think of poles as the system's DNA. They encode its internal tendencies. If a pole is located in the right half of the complex plane, the system is unstable, and if all poles are in the left half, the system is stable. So now when we're talking about zeros, so zeros are the values of s that makes the numerator of the transfer function equal to 0. So these are the points where the system's output is completely suppressed even if there's an input. So 0 acts like filters. They shape how the system responds to different frequencies, and they can cancel out certain behaviors or reinforce others depending on their location. So in a system, we also have what we call the shared roots. So sometimes our root appears in both the numerator and the denominator, and these are called common roots. So, and they may even cancel each other out, and however, they still influence the system's behavior and must be considered during analysis. So we have a figure here. So we have there RS, CS, GS. Okay. So if you're going to get a transfer function GS, so we can see that the pole exists at -5, which is the denominator, and that 0 exists at s equals to -2, which is the numerator of the function. So if you're going to draw the pole 0 map, okay, so both of them are in the left plane. So that is -5 and -2, and we can draw there an X and an O, which denotes the pole and the 0 of the system. So considering the unit step response of the system, okay, so we have s plus 2, then we have their s plus 5 from the previous slide. Okay, so if we consider, so we have their 1 over s war rs. So simply multiply that, so we have two common, or we have two linear factors in the denominator. So we can decompose that to a over s plus b all over s plus 5. And applying partial fraction decomposition, we can arrive at a certain factors 2 over 5 and 3 over 5, which is this. So I'm going to highlight that. So if we're going to decompose that, so this fraction can be decomposed as 2 over 5 and 3 over 5 and over s plus 5 and over s. So that's by partial fraction decomposition. And once we decompose that, we can now take the inverse Laplace of the system, and we can have Ct equals to 2 over 5 plus 3 over 5 e raised to -5 all over 5c. From there, we can have the evolution of the system response. As we can observe, a pole of the input function generates from the form of the force response, and the pole of the transfer function generates the form of the natural response, which is the two different components of the characteristic. So a pole of the real axis generates an exponential response of the form e raised to -at, and the poles and zeros generate the amplitude for the force and natural responses. So now we have here a sample problem. So a system's transfer function, GS, equals to 10s plus 4, s plus 6, divided by s plus 1, s plus 7, s plus 8, and s plus 10. So how can we write Ct? So first, we're going to take the partial fraction decomposition of this function. Okay. So we have here four distinct linear denominators. So we have there b all over s plus 1, plus c all over s plus 7, plus d all over s plus 8, plus e divided by s plus 10. So once we got all of the coefficients for b, c, d, and e, so we can now take the inverse Laplace of this expansion, which leads us to b raised to -t, wherein our b is the coefficient taken when we have the partial fraction decomposition of the expansion. C e raised to negative 7, wherein C is another constant. D is e raised to negative 8, which is another constant. And E, this capital E is another constant, and E is exponential, which is negative 10t. So this is now the natural response of the equation. Okay. So once we have the natural response, we can have our forced response A. So for that case, we have a hidden coefficient 1, which is a delta Dirac function delta t, which is equal to 1. So our A there is 1. So that would be a forced response 1 plus this whole natural response. Now that we know the basics, let us take a look at first order systems. So in first order systems, so they don't have any zeros. So these systems are simple and help us understand how a system responds over time. So we can describe this type of system using a basic transfer function like one of its own, or that's one shown in this slide. So if we apply a unit step input written in the Laplace form as 1 all over s, we can find the system's output by calculating the Laplace transform of the response. So this response shows how quickly the system reacts to sudden change, which helps us measure its performance. Now taking the inverse transform of the previous equation, that leads us to CFT plus Cn of t, which can be equated to 1 plus e raised to negative at, and that will be going to use as the general equation. But we have a shorter solution for that. I'm going to teach it later. So when t is equals to 1 all over a, e raised to negative at t equals to 1, so that will be e raised to negative 1. And we call 1 over a the time constant of the response, and the time it takes for the step response to rise. So the reciprocal of the time constant has units, so 1 over second. But technically, we can say that the time constant is simply equal to tau itself. So we're going to solve for that one later. So tau would be another factor that we're going to solve for us to see the stability of the system. So the reciprocal of A, or 1 over A, is referred to as the time constant of the system's response, and this time constant represents the duration required for exponential term e raised to negative at to decrease approximately 37% of its original magnitude. Alternatively, the time constant also signifies the time it takes for step response to reach about 63% of its ultimate steady-state value. Alright, now that we have considered the value of our time constant Tc, which I'm going to correct, what I mean that Tc is also equal to tau, which is the common factor for the two. So tau would be equal to 1 all over a, which is another factor that is common with the numerator and the denominator. Say for example, we have here a all over s plus a, wherein we're going to take the factor a all over a, which leads to 1 all over s all over a plus 1. And which is, this is our standard form. So we're going to take this one, and this will be our Tc, or time constant, which is the coefficient for our s in the denominator. So that Tc is equal also to tau, is equal to 1 all over a, and that's the thing that we're going to factor. Now that we have that, or we have tau, or the time constant, we're going to use that to find the rise time. If not this equation, we're going to use the relationship if it goes from 0.9 to 0.1 to 0.9. So therefore, it refers to the duration it takes for a waveform to increase from 10% to 90%. So you can take the rise time by extracting that and taking the natural logarithm of 0.9 divided by 0.1 multiplied by our tau. So for this one, we have ln of 9 multiplied by our tau, which is our time constant, and we can have the rise time that we're needing for the system. So for the settling time, so that's the time for the response to reach and stay within 2% of the final value. So we're going to use this relationship, Ct equals to Cft plus Cnt equals to 1 minus e raised to negative at. And if that is 2% of the value, we simply let Ct be equal to 98%, or 0.98. Then we're going to solve for a, and that leads us to Ts equals to 4 all over a. But we have another shortcut for this one. If we're talking about the 2% of the final value, that is simply 4 times the time constant tau. And if that is 5% of the final value, that is 3 times tau, or 3 times the time constant. So we have two relationships here. So if that is 2%, so that is 4 tau. And if that is 5%, that is 3 tau. Now that we have all of the concepts in hand, or we know all of the concepts that we need to solve the system's time constant, so let's have a sample problem. So a system is a transfer function of Gs equals to 50 all over S plus 50. So find the time constant, the settling time, and the rise time. So the rise time stays at 2% of the value. Alright, first things first, we have Gs equals to 50 all over S plus 50. So we're going to take the common factor here. So we have 50 and 50, such that we have 50 all over 50. Then that would be, so 1 all over 50 and 1 all over 50. So we have here 1 divided by S all over 50 plus 1. So we have now here the standard form of the equation, or the function. So we take the coefficient of S, which is 1 all over 50. Then we can now solve for our tau, or our time constant Tc. So 1 over 50, which is equal to tau, is equals to Tc. So that would be equal to 0.02 seconds, which is the answer in our Tc here. So now that we have our Tc, we can now solve for our settling time Ts. So for Ts, so normally that is from 10% to 90%. So therefore we take ln of 9 multiplied by our tau, which is 0.02 seconds, which leads to Ts equal to 0.08 seconds. And for our rise time, we have 2%. So 2% of the value, so it stays at 2% of the value. So therefore, that would be 4 times tau. So that would be 0.02 times 4. So that would be 0.08. I'm sorry for this one. So that will be ln of 9 times 0.2, and that's not 0.8, but rather the value I have stop on here was. So just solve for this value, and that will be the answer for our rise time. So hope you get this problem, and we're going to have another problem on the next slide. Alright, so we have here a function which is not in its standard form. So what we're going to do is that we're going to still do the same thing. So we're going to factor out a common factor with the constant coefficient. Okay, so both the numerator and denominator. So the thing that we need to do is that there should be equal value for both the numerator and the denominator constant. Okay, so we're going to factor out 200 from this one. So we have 1 all over 200 divided by 1 over 200. And that would be 1 all over 4 all over 200 times S plus 1. So this is our standard form. So now our time constant is equal to 4 all over 200. So we're always referring to this one for the time constant. So therefore, time constant is simply equal to 4 out of 200. Or if you're going to take the lowest term for this one, so that is 1 all over 50. Okay, so we have here 1 all over 50 of our Tc, and that will be our tau, or our time constant for this one. So for this one, so it's just coincidental that we have our tau be equal to 1 all over 50, since we have 4 out of 400, and which leads to the same answer, which is 1 all over 50. Okay, so now that we have tau, we can now solve for our TR. Okay, so TR, okay, so we can solve for our TR, and our TR is equals to ln of 9 multiplied by tau, which leads to the same answer from the previous example. Okay, so we're going to solve for this one. Okay, so just calculate it. And for settling time, okay, so we have our TS. So for TS, so TS at 2%, so we have 4 times tau, so that would be 0.08. So at 2%. And we have 3 tau equal to 0.06 at 5%. And that's how we calculate the time constants, or the time involved in the system. So hope you learned something new in this lecture. If you have some questions, clarifications, free to hit me a message, and see you on the next video.